My name is Aaron J. Reardon. I am the writer and host of two podcasts, one called Celine and the other one called Plant Murder. Celine is actually a narrated fiction podcast that's inspired by Poe. It is about a haunted city, a strange city lying alone. And Plant Murder is a podcast that examines the mysteries of history and the histories of deadly plants. Um, I've been a fan of Edgar Allan Poe, and he's been very inspiring to me for almost all of my writing career for decades. But it was only recently when I was trying to do a piece that was heavily inspired in a 19th century style that I actually kind of dove deeply into his correspondence, because I think I find that a little different than his prose, and the eloquence and patience and style and art of his prose really inspired me. And when it was during that I actually stumbled upon what in his biography was the mystery of his final days and all of the theories about how Poe actually passed. And when I encountered that, I felt like I really needed to do an episode of Plant Murder to cover all of the varying theories, some valid, some a bit not so valid, about those mysterious missing 5 days and how he might have actually met his end and to be found on a street in Baltimore. Plant Murder, Poe versus the Ugni Blanc Grape, is about exploring the mystery of those missing 5 days so that those people who I think there's a lot of fans of Poe, there's a lot of people who know the Raven and his work, but aren't actually familiar much with his biography or familiar with that key 5 missing days and his last moments. And so I felt important to kind of peel the onion and actually follow all of those trails in our, immersive sound podcast to really kind of explore each one, to kind of look down the road of, was it rabies? Was it, alcohol? Was it cooping? Was it any of those things? Ultimately, the episode was about the relationship between him and what I thought was going to be whether or not he was an alcoholic, and wine and other spirits led to his death. But what it became was this amazing exploration of his life and his family, and then the Ugni Block Grape became a relationship with his legacy, which is effectively the Poe toaster with the cognac that was left of his gravesite, and it even opens up with an invitation to any of us. Are you going to be the next Poe toaster? Are you going to be the person that carries on Poe's legacy into the future? I mean, he continues to be an influence in every way. I write certain works with a 19th century kind of flair, and I'm constantly going back to his correspondence. It is one of the touchstones, I would say, of a very patient and elaborate style that we lose with modernism. A lot of modern communication is almost Hemingway obsessed. It's very short, very efficient sentences. And I feel like Poe's correspondence and a lot of his work is sort of the opposite of that. And I think we lose something when we kind of abandon that flair and the craft of language. And I think he was one of the masters in it. So I think in that sense, overall, absolutely. I would say I have been rereading The Black Cat considerably, and I think re-examining that. I think it's really interesting how potent and intimate that story is, and yet there's almost a casualness to the violence of it. And so I feel like I haven't completely cracked that in my own meditations. And so I've been rereading that over and over again in the last few months. You can find the Plant Murder podcast or the Celine podcast wherever podcasts are found. You can find everything about me and all of my works at cleverthen.com, and you can support the shows at Patreon at cleverthen.